But this says that every person, no one can buy or sell without the mark, the number, the name. That's all associated together. Well, I understand what the mark will be. It'll be an implanted computer chip. I don't have any doubt about that. The number is the question. Well, several years ago, I was praying about this exact thing. My wife and I had been discussing it. And I was praying about this because John says here, let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast. What he's saying there is that John himself did not understand what he was looking at. He did not understand what he was looking at. He just knew that someone would someday. Let him who has understanding understand it. He saw 3 symbols. He saw what he said was a 666. And he said that this number was necessary for people to buy or sell. Without it, at some point, they would not be able to buy or sell. And that this 666 would be a key to the beast, which is the global empire that will rise, the mark of the beast, which is the computer chip inserted in the individuals. All of this is tied together, and without it, they can't buy or sell. Well, I thought about it one night, and I remembered that John, who wrote the Revelation, this is the Apostle John. He was the brother of James. They were the sons of Zebedee. They were fishermen, by the Sea of Galilee. Jesus called them. He called them Boanerges, which means the sons of thunder. They were big, boisterous fishermen. He was not a highly educated man. He was a Hebrew man, a Jewish man who spoke Hebrew, wrote in Hebrew, perhaps Aramaic, which was similar. But his understanding would have been from the vantage point of a Hebrew man, not a seminarian, just an average Hebrew man. So whenever he saw the visions that he saw and recorded that we have in the book of Revelation, he would have seen everything in Hebrew. He would have heard words spoken in Hebrew. Everything that he saw or heard would have come from Hebrew because that's what he understood. Now, the oldest manuscripts that we have of the book of Revelation are not in Hebrew, but in Greek. Greek was the language of the day for the Roman Empire. So all of the scriptures were translated into Greek or put into Greek for distribution around the Roman Empire to all of the churches and the believers then. But John would not have seen anything in Greek. He would not have heard anything in Greek. He was not a Greek. Tradition tells us that he was probably 95 years old. He was a very old man. He was on the island of Patmos. He had been exiled there for his preaching, put there to die. And he saw this vision. He recorded it or had it recorded, written down. But what he saw and heard, again, he saw and heard in Hebrew, not in Greek. So I thought to myself, okay, if he saw this 666 in Hebrew, what would he have seen? And I recalled that in Hebrew, there are no numbers. In Hebrew, there are no symbols for numbers, only letters. And if you're using those symbols for mathematics, the first 10 symbols in the alphabet simply serve as numbers. If we were doing the same thing today, an A would be used for a 1. Instead of having the symbol for a 1, you just use an A and you just know that's 1, using it as a number. So I thought about that, and I said, well, what he saw then was 3 symbols, all exactly alike, side by side. He would have to assume they were numbers because no word is written that way. You don't have a word that is simply 3 of the same letter. That wouldn't happen. So John saw 3 symbols, side by side, all the same, he would have automatically assumed that it was the number 666. But I said, well, I want to see what letter that would be. What letter in the Hebrew alphabet is used as a 6, as the number 6 by the Hebrews. So I looked it up, and I discovered that the 6th digit, the 6th symbol, rather, in the Hebrew alphabet, which would have been also represented as the number 6 in a mathematical usage, the 6th letter is a W. That's right, a W. What John saw was W, W, W. He assumed it was a number because there's no such word as W, W, W. But that's what he saw. That's what he saw. Without that number, people will not be able to buy or sell. Now, we're not there today. Yes, we have the WWW, and yes, trillions of dollars change hands through the use of the internet every day. But you can still buy and sell without that. You can take cash and go purchase something, and you've not accessed the internet. But the system that's going to arise is going to be set up without cash, and eventually even without credit cards. At first there will be credit cards with a chip in them, and then eventually the card will be done away with and the chip will be implanted in the body of the person, and everyone will operate on a universal credit system. No one will use cash, no one will write checks, no one will use a credit card per se. You'll be able to buy and sell only in this manner, and all purchases and all sales will be controlled through the internet.